Ukrainian border guards have targeted the invading Russian army soldiers with the use of the Czech-made RM-70 Vampire rocket launcher system. Images of the use of RM-70 Vampire in several directions of the front have been spread on social networks. It should be noted that in 2022, the Czech Republic provided at least 20 RM-70 Vampire rocket launchers to Ukraine as part of military assistance to Kiev. Being the modernized version of the standard RM-70 122 multiple launch rocket system, MLRS, RM-70 Vampire was manufactured in February 2015. It can fire 40 rockets in less than 30 seconds. Since the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Czech Republic has delivered to Ukraine an undisclosed number of RM-70 Vampir 122mm multiple launch rocket systems.
Maxim Bilusov, head of Ukraine's 60th Brigade's Communications Department, says that Russian offensive operations in the Lyman sector are very expensive. He shared the information on Espresso TV. As for Russian forces' plans in the Lyman direction, they want to regain control over Lyman, which they held at the beginning of the full-scale invasion but was later liberated by the Ukrainian Defense Forces. Now the enemy seeks to restore its dominance, but we are standing firm and repelling attacks. The situation is complicated by the constant increase in enemy forces. They do not spare their infantry. Their soldiers often advance without weapons, poorly dressed. The Russians do not evacuate their wounded, who are forced to drink water from puddles, said Bilusov. According to him, the situation has remained tense for about a month as the Russian army combines mechanized and infantry assaults. However, the invading forces are suffering significant losses. Russian infantry usually attacks in small groups of up to 10 people, and during mechanized assaults, more infantry is added, which is brought closer to our positions by APCs or IFVs for the attack. But we are not resting either. We are constantly working. Our infantry, FPV drones and heavy strike drones are working day and night to drive the enemy out of trenches and dugouts. For example, this month, our reconnaissance company destroyed almost 2 enemy companies, Bilusov reported. Russian forces are trying to cross the Zerebets River. There are so-called dams there, allowing movement on foot and with equipment, noted the head of the Communications Department of the 60th Separate Mechanized Brigade. Small groups can cross these dams, and sometimes the enemy succeeds. The situation is dynamic, but we are trying to localize them and prevent further advancement. There is a possibility of blowing up the dams to stop the enemy from using them, but the final decision rests with our higher command. For now, the dams remain intact, he added. The complete absence of replenishment on the Lyman front is a threat of defeat at a crucial moment, although another Russian offensive in the area has every possibility of being defeated again. The situation that requires immediate decisions by the HQ, Supreme Commander-in-Chief Volodymyr Zelensky, the Minister of Defense and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, is in the Lyman sector. The 2 Russian armies are making great efforts to break through the Lyman front, and the enemy has deployed large forces. The enemy has 2 breakthrough areas, both of which are crucial for the fate of the Lyman front. The first area is in the village of Pishchany in Kupiansk direction, where the enemy managed to break through to the Oskil River and cut our positions at the Oskil bridgehead. If the enemy fully captures the Oskil line, it will allow the enemy to bypass Kupiansk and advance to Izium. The second area is the village of Terny. The capture of Terny will allow the enemy to reach Torsk and close the main route of communication with our grouping in the Serebryansky forest. In fact, it will allow the enemy to get closer to Lyman and Yampil. This means that the enemy will gain a significant operational advance and, in the long run, will force our entire Lyman front to retreat. London has supported the idea of deploying a foreign peacekeeping contingent in Ukraine after the end of the war unleashed by Russia. In the coming weeks, the head of the British government, Keir Starmer, intends to visit Ukraine to discuss this issue with Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky, Bloomberg reports. According to journalists, the prospect of deploying peacekeepers in Ukraine was discussed the day before during a meeting between Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron. The decision regarding this scenario will depend on the nature of the future peace agreement between Kiev and Moscow. Zelensky confirmed that the British side views Paris's proposal to send peacekeepers to Ukraine positively. According to the president, he will discuss this issue with Starmer during his upcoming visit to Kyiv. The French publication Le Monde also writes that the meeting between Starmer and Macron concerned the issue of deploying a peacekeeping contingent in Ukraine. During the conversation, the parties agreed to coordinate their actions with the aim of providing support to Ukraine for as long as it takes, and noted the importance of providing security guarantees to the Ukrainian state. The deployment of foreign troops in Ukraine could serve as a deterrent to a new Russian invasion. While the country is not a NATO member, journalists note. As media previously reported, Zelensky called the deployment of foreign troops in Ukraine the best tool against Putin's aggression and called on allies to be more practical in this matter. He recalled the initiative of Emmanuel Macron, which he voiced last year. It consists of transferring military contingents of allied countries to Ukraine. The head of state added that, in his opinion, this is the best tool to bring a fair peace closer, and called on partners to be more practical in this matter. Zelensky also recalled that Britain reacted positively to this French initiative. We must be bold, and we must offer really strong instruments, the Ukrainian leader said. Previously, the head of state noted that sending foreign troops to Ukraine could be a component of security guarantees from the West before the country joins the North Atlantic Alliance.
The fire that broke out on January 8 after Ukrainian drones struck the Kristall oil refinery in Engels, Saratov region, Russia, has been going on for 5 days. Footage of the fire has been circulating on local Telegram channels. A state of emergency has been declared in the area, and firefighters' efforts have been unsuccessful. There were fatalities among firefighters in the first days of the fire. It should be noted that the oil base supplies fuel to the Engels 2 military airfield, which is home to strategic aviation.